Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good, man. We had a very strange week of football that just transpired. I mean, lots of upsets, lots of weird contests. I don't know, injuries again. What we're talking today, man. Week number 8 must add players on the waiver wire. We got to continue to reload our teams, man. Injuries continue to be a problem. These fourplex running back backfields is no good for us, especially in those LA Rams. It's just not good, man. We got bamboozled, but I mean, we got to talk to these running backs this week once again. First one on the board is Kareem Hunt. I understand he is at 55% ownership right now, but in some leagues I have seen him under the 40% threshold of ownership. You got to get on a Kareem Hunt now because Jerome Ford has been or is now diagnosed with an ankle injury. So Kareem Hunt's going to be leaned upon in this backfield to carry the load, which is good news for us owners. He did pop off in that end zone, did help us get at least to 15 points in most leagues, man. 35 points right now. Kareem Hunt has got to be a priority add if he still is on your waiver. Likely not in most leagues, but I'm telling you, if he's there, you got to prioritize for this man. Darrell Henderson, like I'm saying, we got bamboozled by these LA Rams this past week. Coach McVay decided to uplift a Royce Freeman and a Henderson off the practice squad, which left everybody Zach Evans, waiver priority last week to be absolutely poo, and it did not work for us. So Darrell Henderson right now, I mean, okay, he's very familiar with the LA Rams and Sean McVay's offense, so that's why he got the touches. You know, what did I say last week about Evans? He was a good talent. He is a good talent, but is he ready for the NFL? Clearly not trusted enough by Sean McVay to carry the load. He's got speed, but can he go in between the tackles? That is the problem. Henderson should be the guy, along with Royce Freeman, to spell him out, and then we'll see what Zach Evans can do. So Henderson and Hunt got to be your top 2 running back priority pickups this week, as Henderson is only 18% owned. Notable additions, Tajay Spears, Titans coming off the bye week. You know, rumor has it Titans are on a fire sale. Everybody is for sale via trade. If that does, transpire, and they do end up shopping a Derrick Henry, which, wouldn't shock me. I won't be surprised if he stays with the Titans, but it won't shock me if he does find a new home. Tajay's going to be massive on the volume upside, so he's got to be another big-time priority pickup. If Kareem Hunt is not there, go and grab a Spears on the notion that Derrick Henry could potentially be on another club in the next couple weeks, as the trade deadline is vastly approaching in the NFL. Roschon Johnson, even though we saw Deontay Foreman once again find his football legs, found the end zone 3 times this past week for the hat trick. I mean, Roschon's likely coming back from the concussion maybe this week, so he is again, 47.5% ownership rate. They will utilize this man in the backfield once he is back on the field, and Foreman, they could do a 50-50 split with him and Foreman as they move forward, so touches will be vast, hard to find. But, he's still one of these guys that he was showcasing his talents. He's a young, youthful talent and should be on your roster at this point. Demercado. Okay, 29 points. The usage is there, okay? The fact that we picked him up and then everyone dropped him the week after because he didn't see much point productivity, the usage and snap count has been there for him. He did see a lot of work this past week. That is okay, not great on the top-end levels. But the Arizona Cardinals, the book is out on how to stop these guys at this point. They will compete, but they will not give you that high-end point productivity. But we're dying for running backs. Demercado is going to get you anywhere from the 8 to 12 point range. Moving forward, highly likely with those snap counts. No kidding. Zeke Elliott, man, in this backfield with these New England Patriots, he's got some life, not great life, but some. And Ramondre finally seeing the PPR upside versus the Buffalo Bills this past week. It's everything we were asking for all season long, but it is becoming this, timeshare of sorts with this backfield. Zeke Elliott still is getting touches, almost 50 points. You could do a lot worse, but I know you could do a lot better as well. But if you're struggling for running backs, Zeke Elliott is at least on the radar to be this guy that could get TD upside for you and at least get you anywhere from 7 to 10 points per week. Jaleel McLaughlin, okay. These Denver Broncos, they're moving the offense in a decent direction. Not great, but for fantasy football, it's okay. Russ Wilson still spreading the ball around, and McLaughlin's got those wheels, man. Vontae looks good, though. So this was the biggest problem. How will Javonte Williams, continue to be unleashed in this offense with Sean Payton? This past week, Vontae was utilized a lot more. We only saw McLaughlin in spell touches and pass-catching role. So you're going to have to understand in full PPR leagues, McLaughlin's value is a lot higher than it would be even in half PPR or just standard leagues. So keep that in mind when you're going for a McLaughlin. because he still will have some value on the, spell back and PPR upside, no kidding. Royce Freeman on the board, only 6.6 points. There is going to be some split touches in this Rams backfield. You got to go Henderson before you're going Royce, but I mean, if anything happens to Henderson, then you're going to go Royce. You're probably going to go Evans, and we'll see how this backfield does shake out. It is an absolute crapshoot with these LA Rams. Not good. I don't like Freeman necessarily on my roster unless you're absolutely desperate for a running back. Jamal Williams, I mean, okay, what's his upside in the Saints offense that continues to just pepper Alvin Kamara with targets and then volume? I mean, it's just going to be goal line upside. So if you're really stuck and you're praying for some upside, goal line upside for Jamal Williams could be had here with these New Orleans Saints, but it will be tapered off because they are starting to utilize a Taysom Hill quite a bit once again. So Williams is just on the notable list right now. Zach Charbonnet, I'm going to continue to push this because if Kenny Walker goes down, this Charbonnet is going to be the running back one in this offense. You got to put Charbonnet on your bench. If you have room, he needs to be owned, man. 34.8% only for Charbonnet. He's still on your waiver wire. No kidding about that. You got to get Charbonnet on your roster, 17.5 points. They're not utilizing him right now because Kenny is running like a bat out of hell. Why would you take Kenny off the field? But I'm telling y'all, this is the best handcuff we have on the waiver wire right now. It is Charbonnet and Tajay Spears. These two gentlemen need to be owned right now. Spears 37%, where Charbonnet 34%. He is definitely going to be there in majority of leagues, man. Josh Kelly found his way back to some good grace this past week as Austin Eckler did tweak his ankle. I mean, okay, but is this going to continue to move forward? Probably not. But if Eckler's still continuously dealing with some kind of injury and ailment, Kelly's going to be a good spellback, which he has been. Given the full load, Kelly has not done the business. But in the spellback role, he has been playing very well. Had a nice touchdown run this past week. 42 points, only 20.2 ownership right now. I think he's viable potential on your bench. Wait and see. If you don't have room, I completely understand fading him because it's going to be very much hit and miss at this point. Last one for deeper leagues. Actually, for all leagues, I'm gonna say this for Dalvin Cook. Trade deadline's going to say a lot, man. The New York Jets have already put it out there that they are willing to trade a Dalvin Cook. Recently signed this offseason to the New York Jets. But with the evolution of Breece Hall's injury being a null and void, we have to understand that Breece is not going to forego any touches in this offense, and the Jets are going to continue to feed this man. Dalvin Cook could find himself on another roster, which could bode well. Dalvin's not washed, man. There's just no touches for this guy to go around in New York at this point. Kind of surprising to see him on the bench, but he could find his way to another club. 44% ownership right now. If he's still there on your waiver wire, there is potential as we are getting closer to the NFL trade deadline. You guys got to get up on that. No kidding, man. Quarterbacks. Derek Carr found new life, 18-plus points this past week in this offense. Yes, we did see Chris Olave go to the jail cell, man. He got arrested, popped on a speeding charge. We'll see how that does shake down, if he's going to see any suspension. But, I mean, Derek Carr looks a lot more comfortable because of the checkdowns to an Alvin Kamara, and that's not going to stop by any stretch. You know how they're going to move this offense. They're just going to force feed Alvin on the regular in hopes that they can get victories. But, I mean, 18 points from a quarterback that's sitting on your waiver wire, you could do a lot worse than that as well, man. He got me a victory this past week as I had to pick him up with bye week hell. There is no bye weeks this week, surprisingly enough. But I'm telling y'all, Derek Carr is probably, the waiver's thin for quarterbacks this year. So, I mean, Derek Carr's got to be one of the top priorities this week based on matchup as they are going up against these Indianapolis Colts. Gardner Minshew Mania is back in a big way. Okay, the week-to-week league, man. I did not predict this. How could anybody predict this? The Cleveland Browns defense absolutely let down this past week. Let Minshew carve him up all over the field. 5.8% ownership for a Minshew, 71.2 points going up against these New Orleans Saints. So if we were worried about Minshew going up against the Cleveland Browns defense that I claim to be Super Bowl ready, which they still are, they just had a letdown performance. The New Orleans Saints defense is very much stellar as well, but I think Minshew is at least very much capable to give us those good fantasy points. 16 to 21 points for Minshew is not out of the question with how this offense is moving, especially with the fact that they got JT running the ball again. Play action pass, baby, all day long. Minshew is definitely a definite, streamer quarterback. Almost lost for words there this week for you, man. Notable additions, Desmond Ridder. Ritter's, okay, what did I tell y'all? He's going to have his mistakes, but he's going to continue to move the ball. 103 points right now. Not the best of games this past week, but he does have a good matchup versus Tennessee Titans, who are coming off the bye, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's a good matchup for this man at this point. I mean, if you're really stuck at the quarterback spot, at least Ritter is giving you some rushing upside as well. He's finding Kyle Pitts. He's finding Drake London. This is all we wanted to see. Give the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and the points will start to rack up. Desmond Ritter is not a bad option this week versus those Tennessee Titans. Kenny Pickett, small hands Pickett. He gets Deontay Johnson back, and this offense did look a lot better this past week. I think it's going to continue to morph as we go into the second half of the NFL season. Pickett is a little bit more high risk, high reward going up against these Jacksonville Jaguars, as they do have a good pass rush, but we will see. I do like the fact that Deontay's there, gives him another safety blanket, and then he's able to go over the top to a George Pickens. It is not a bad situation for small hands Pickett if you require a quarterback. As we start to dwindle down this notable addition list, man, Josh Dobbs. The book is out on these Arizona Cardinals on how to stop him, but he will get you still some points if you require him. This is not the week likely to do it versus the Baltimore Ravens, but whenever I say that, Josh Dobbs apparently just uplifts his game. He's playing up to his competition rather than down. I would definitely look in another direction this week to play Dobbs versus the Baltimore Ravens, as we saw what they did to Jared Goff and those Detroit Lions, but they are playing in Arizona, so maybe that does change a little bit of the scene. Sam Howell, the most sacked man in the NFL right now. It is not good, no bueno. I mean, I'm with, the defensive front when they're talking about, he's sick and tired of this ish of how they're losing. I mean, it's an uneven situation in Washington. We had to expect growing pains. Sam Howell still got 116 points. Not a good week this past week. He is going up against those Philadelphia Eagles, which, does have a letdown in the secondary, but they did trade for Byard. So, I mean, that's going to be a big addition for the Eagles secondary. No kidding. They just got to figure out how to protect Sam Howell. It's not all on Sam, with the pocket awareness. He is trying his best, and he still is feeding his wide receivers. This past game was just not good. The Giants are absolutely played off from the Bills contest on the defensive side of the ball and put the shackles down on the Commanders' offense. It was not good for the Commies. Sam Howell versus the Eagles this week. There is some upside in passing aptitude because the Eagles do give up a lot of plays in the defensive back end. Baker Mayfield, Bake Show, did not look good this week as this past week as well. Now he's got a short week playing against the Buffalo Bills on Thursday Night Football. Can we trust Bake Show versus the Bills, who are slumping right now? It's very possible that he's going to give you a decent floor of 14 to 16 points. So, I mean, again, I really don't like streaming a quarterback on Thursday night because it is a short week, and typically we see lesser quality football. It is not a good situation. So, I mean, that's why I got Baker down here a little bit more down the list. I would absolutely trust a Ritter and Pickett above a Bake Show this week because I just don't like the matchup, and I don't like it on Thursday Night Football. Mac Money Jones gets back to goods against my Bills. I mean, it is a freaking hard time being a Bills fan right now. They got to figure it out, man. But, I mean, at least Mac Jones figured something out. Was able to find Kendrick Bourne on the regular. They were starting to do the checkdowns and dump downs to Ramondre, like I was saying. Mac Jones, 83 points. I mean, he's playing against the Miami Dolphins, who do give up a lot of yards through the pass game as well. The injuries on the back end. But, I mean, we're seeing that front line start to pressure once again with Phillips. So it will be a tough matchup, but there is potential for Mac Jones to at least give you that decent floor again. 10 to 15 points is there for you if you are struggling for quarterbacks. But, again, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel with Mac No Money Jones, but he's coming back with his nickname for Mac Money Jones for me. Tyler Bagent Teabag. Told you I'd get this man's name right eventually. Teabag did well. What can we say? It's no disrespect, man. It's a good nickname. I like the nickname. It's no disrespect on the man. But Teabag did do well this past week. Impressed me. Didn't expect it. But again, young guys with nothing to lose, they will come out to play. And then once they get some tape on them, the defenses will understand how to go against them. So we'll see what he does playing the LA Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Not going to be a great show, hopefully, for these guys. But, I mean, Bagent looked good enough to at least warrant a notable addition potential versus a Chargers defense that does give up a lot of yards through the pass game. And Kyler Murray finishes off the list still on the IR to return. So, I mean, if you got a deeper spot or if you got IR spots on your roster, I would definitely suggest picking up a Kyler Murray because, I mean, who knows what could happen. It's just one of those bench stashes, especially if you've been streaming quarterbacks this entire season, man. Wide receiver time. Okay, come into my office for a second and let me tell y'all something. What did I tell y'all 5 weeks ago about Josh Downs, that we are down for Downs? I said, yes, I was early, but I was not wrong. And I told y'all this going 5 weeks ago. God, man, this offseason during this draft process, if you don't know, I do all the scouting reports. Go and check some of those out because you will see how I evaluate this talent, man. And Josh Downs was one of my guys. Loved him at North Carolina. He was so good there. I told y'all he was going to be potentially one of the better slot wide receivers in this league. He is already showing it. I told y'all it's better to be too early than too late. Now y'all too late, even though 35.8% ownership, he's still likely there in some of y'all leagues. But you're going to have to use your fab dollars that you probably don't even have anymore because you used them all. And the top guys in your league are likely still fab dollar rich, so they're going to go and get themselves Downs and continuously put their roster on a higher note. I mean, if you don't listen, you don't listen. Josh Downs is that guy. 68 points, blew up this past week with Gardner Minshew, and he will continue down this path. He is a dog. He is a great talent. Love me some Josh Downs. Rashee Rice, 53% ownership right now. Yes, he's probably not there in most leagues. But, I mean, if he is, 53, it's only 3% off the 50% mark, so he could still be there for y'all. He is definitely a must-priority add this week as well. Looking to have found more chemistry with a Patrick Mahomes boy. It's good news. They needed somebody to at least take over that wide receiver one role in this offense, and Rice is starting to pick up steam. Could be the guy, especially now with my guy Justin Ross getting arrested. What is wrong with y'all, man? Stop going and get in trouble with the law. Justin Ross is basically out of the picture at this point, so, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets released. But, Rashee Rice is the guy we're talking about. 61.2 points, finding the end zone now on the regular. You got to love the chemistry they're building. Notable additions, man. Tank Dell, likely a dropped player due to bye week trouble last week. Get him back on your rosters, man. Tank Dell and these Houston Texans coming off the rest are going to be good, man. CJ Stroud is one of these guys who will not quit. He's going to continue to feed Tank Dell. Dell did deal with some concussion issue. Should be good to go coming off the bye week. He needs to be on your roster, much like a Downs. PPR upside and speed and wheels is the name of the game for a Tank Dell. Brandon Cooks found some relevance before they went on the bye week as well. Coach McCarthy, he finally understood after, 6 weeks in the NFL this season, he understood, hey, I got a guy named Brandon Cooks who can play ball. Give his head a shake. I don't know what you're talking about. I was a big fan of sleeper appeal for a Brandon Cooks going back to the offseason. Hopefully this continues. As you got guys like a CeeDee Lamb, you can absolutely utilize a Cooks with lesser coverage, and he will take the top off of defenses still. He's still got some jets in those older legs, man. Jaden Reed from these Green Bay Packers. Now we're seeing Christian Watson dealing with another knee injury, hearing potentially MCL sprain to an ACL issue. So this is not good. Christian Watson just can't stay on the field for long periods of time, and Jaden Reed caught himself a fluky touchdown this past week. Okay, we'll take him as we get him. But, if Watson is out for any amount of time, once again, we got to get Reed on our roster because flex play is there all day long. Jameson Williams. What can I say? I'm saddened because he's not playing well. It's still something he's fighting. I don't know what it is. 6 targets, biggest target share he's had all season long. And, he's dropping passes, had 0 points for us, completely, crap the bed. What are we going to do with Jamo? It's very difficult. Still on your bench. Still on the waiver wire, 40.4%. It's very difficult to trust Jamo right now. So I understand you don't want him on your team, completely get it. But once he does figure this thing out, he will be one of these guys that we can absolutely trust on big play appeal. Right now, though, I completely understand. I'm getting very sour on Jamo, so you guys should be as well. Kendrick Bourne, 25.6%. He's got 70 points, man. It's just so inconsistent, man. It's like 1 week he pops off. We don't hear from him for 3 weeks. Because Mac Jones in this offense, they gave Bill Belichick his new contract, so he's sticking around. No more hot seat for him. So maybe they said, okay, let's figure this thing out together. And Kendrick Bourne, okay, he's got to be one of these guys potentially on your roster. One of the worst situations because we really don't know what we're going to get from this offense. So it's up to you if you want to have Kendrick Bourne. He's just on here because the point productivity warrants it. No kidding. Zay Jones, still injured. Keep your eye on that as well. If he does come back, he is at least a notable addition. Does have good chemistry with a Trevor Lawrence. Don't know what's going on with Calvin Ridley and a Trevor Lawrence right now. They're just not on the same page. So if Jones comes back, we could see that target share absolutely go to Jones as well. OBJ, he's looking washed. What can we say about OBJ? Likely could be his final season in the NFL. He's not what we expected him to be. Lamar Jackson and these Ravens did look good this past week. Best game I've seen from them this entire season on offense. But with Beckham, what did he give you? 8 points, half PPR this past week. So it's a warranting, flex opportunity as well. We want to see him start to get into that end zone just a little bit. But Odell Beckham is definitely shades of what he used to be, his former self. Treylon Burks still dealing with an injury. But like I said, the Titans are in fire sale mode if they trade a D-Hop. It's going to be wide receiver 1 targets coming back to a Treylon Burks, barring health, that is. So, I mean, I understand you want to leave him on the waiver wire for one more week, but again, better to be too early than it is too late, and Treylon Burks could be a good bench stash for us at 28.7%, but got to watch that injury report. Deeper leagues, Tyler Scott, man, for the Chicago Bears with T-Bag throwing the ball. He's going to start to get integrated in this offense. He's got elite world-class wheels, and he's going to play over the middle. Get this ball in his hands. He will show you yak yardage upside, even though I still think Darnell Mooney's going to still be the default wide receiver, too. This is going to pull lesser coverage to Scott. So deeper leagues, and keep him on the watch list for all y'all 12-team leagues. Don't pick him up yet. Just keep him on the watch list because he is definitely one of these guys you got to keep your eye on. Finishing it off with tight ends, Dalton Kincaid. You got to say it like the Terminator, man. Dalton Kincaid, because we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Finally, eight receptions this past week for, 70-some yards? Got to love what you see, man. Dawson Knox now injured. He is going for wrist surgery out indefinitely from what we're seeing. I mean, okay, how are the Bills, can we say that, Dawson Knox was pulling a lot of target share from Dalton Kincaid this entire season? No, but it's about how they utilize him. Finally, we saw some more dedication to Dalton Kincaid. Hopefully that does continue in this offense. Hopefully the Bills continue to figure out their problems. They are stumbling on offense everywhere. Not good. They need to figure this thing out, get it back to being that well-oiled machine. I do have faith the Bills will figure this thing out. They are just far too talented. There's just there's no fire burning from Josh Allen right now. You see it, man. You physically see it in his eyes. There's no fire in his belly. I just don't know what it is. What is the problem in Buffalo? I mean, we're going to have to see it coming, again, Thursday Night Football, short week. Good to get off a loss and get this next game going, but they need to put up a very good contest. Dalton Kincaid definitely needs to be owned because he will start to see target share come his way. 31 points, 37% ownership. Taysom Hill is back in the business of fantasy football point productivity. 40 points right now, only 7.8% ownership. This is what they got to do, man. Utilize the talents that you do have on your offense. Yes, he's going to do the, Taysom Hill Wildcat, goal line upside again. It's going to be hit and miss, but the way the tight end spot is right now, you can gamble on a Taysom each and every week. Hopefully, he's going to give you the TD upside, but matchup play is definitely here as well. Teams that don't, utilize the rush attack as well on the goal line is the stat you need to look at when you're playing a Taysom Hill. No kidding. If you're really, desperate for a tight end, matchup play for Taysom Hill is not a bad option whatsoever. Jake Ferguson coming off the bye. We'll see how Dak Prescott and this offense continue to move as they, integrate Brandon Cooks. Could be less targets for Ferguson. So, again, matchup appeal for this man is definitely high upside. He will always have TD upside, no kidding, in this offense. Logan Thomas, 45.3 points on 40% ownership. Sam Howell's still looking in this man's direction. He's forgotten about Jahan Dotson. He's not even part of the offense right now at all. So it is Scary Terry, Curtis Samuel, and Logan Thomas being your, trio of pass catchers that are eating targets. He can be trusted in matchup play as well. Michael Mayer did see no points this past week. I mean, very little, 2-3 points. But, I mean, the snap counts are the positive. We need Jimmy G back on the field, and then his, stock will continue to increase. Mayer is one of these guys that we got to have no Brian Hoyer. It was no good. I mean, what can we say? I was saying maybe Hoyer's been around the block. He can just feed his wide receivers. It did not work, did not go to fruition. Michael Mayer is a very talented tight end, rookie tight end, just like a Dalton Kincaid. He will figure it out eventually. Jimmy G just needs to be on the field. Get back on the field, Jimmy. We need you, man. Conklin coming off the bye, these Jets with Zach Wilson. He found some new life, but once again with Zach Wilson, I think he is a viable target. Once again, being that safety blanket, give you 4 to 5 targets each and every week. Hopefully he does give you some upside, so definite matchup appeal there as well. Gerald Everett, 2 games in a row, he did score a touchdown, but he did fall to an injury, so you got to watch out for that. Only putting him here because I told y'all, man, when Mike Williams went down, there's got to be, viable options to go to. Everyone's talking Q Johnston. I was saying, no, it's Josh Palmer, and it's likely going to a Gerald Everett. So we'll see. Just watch the injury report, see how he's doing before you pick him up. 26.5% ownership. Don't feel like a lot of managers are going to run to the wire for his services, especially with the injury. But if he is healthy, there will be targets for him as well, along with goal line upside as well. Jonnu Smith and Kate Otten on the notables. as well. Jonnu kind of seeing his, targets curtailed just a little bit with the evolution of Ritter throwing to a Drake London and a Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts made a gorgeous one-handed grab this past week. So, his role could start to move down the board as well, being only situational tight end guy, where Kyle Pitts is taking a lot of the carries in that respect. Kate Otten is only in desperation deeper leagues at this point, with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans still continuing to ball out like we know he can. But there you have it. That is week number 8. Waiver wire must add players. No bye weeks this week. Very strange, man. We had bye week Armageddon and then no bye weeks, and now week 9 is going to have it again. So take this one very well. Hopefully you get your wins, because having all your players on your roster is absolutely important. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.